others will not be able to have good sleep, and wengine wanasikia they have the fatigue, but all these could happen to you when you're having your menses, and they really shouldn't cause you that big panic. Okay, they have we have a way of dealing with them, of course, to make them maybe subside on them, and other times even it will work well when we talk to talk about it in the coming slides. So these are common, and it is good that we encourage our girls because some of them will tense because they have abdominal cramps, they have now acne, they have you know, those kind of pains, headaches, and all that fatigue, and they can be disturbing if we don't take precaution about this, because they can mostly, this is what causes our girls to drop out of school. This is what makes our girls miss lessons and classes and exams. This also makes even bigger ladies like us who are working, you're not able to attend to your duties, the way you should. So they could really not be posing a lot of threats health-wise to your system, but it can really cause you to miss out on some other important things that you need to in this life. So in menstruation, there are quite a number of unusual things that can happen, and we have can see from what you can see from our diagram, you know, they can be able to cause us some stress emotionally and physically, you know, and some of irregular periods, mostly we have, these are the most common. You realize that there are people who either have irregular periods, others will not have, they will have very painful ones, others will have absence, they don't ovulate, and then there's also frequent of periods. So the first point there, we talk about amenorrhea. That is now basically there's absence of period. It can be primary or secondary. A primary amenorrhea happens when you have not had your menarche. Menarche, sorry I didn't mention about this, is the first menses. That is what we call menarche. The first time you have your menses, that is what we call menarche. So if you have primary amenorrhea is when you have, or rather a girl has not had menses, you know, at the age of, say, 16, okay? Secondary can come when you have been having your menses, but for like 3 cycles consecutively, you realize that you have missed it. So that could now, that is what we can call secondary amenorrhea. It can be caused by many other factors, environmental factors. You can have, you know, stress and physical other factors, and you know, environmental we've talked about. We can talk about some drugs will cause you to miss out on your menses. So it is good also to, you know, liaise with your doctor so that you can be able to find out what exactly could be causing that. Oligomenorrhea is whereby we have infrequent periods, and then on the other side, the opposite of this is when you have been now frequent is the polymenorrhea. So menorrhagia is when you have very heavy periods. Unaona, very heavy. There's a normal period, but there's that period that is really heavy, that you change many you know, pads that are heavily soaked within a day, and sometimes it will also go like for more days than 7 days. So that is also something that needs also to be looked into, and to be, you know, you need to advise a person who is having heavy periods to have a medical checkup. It's very important. Then hypomenorrhea is where you have light periods. There are people who have very light periods. I will talk about ovulation, and I will tell you that you might be having your menses, but you do not ovulate. And that is what is now an ovulation. Yes, you have your menses, but you're not ovulating. And one of the signs that you note that you're able to tell that you're not really ovulating, at that point you can have either a very light period. That is why now you're talking about hypomenopause.
So these factors about the age and the menstrual and the menarche and all that, you may have also other factors. Genetic factors come into play, the environmental factors, the setup of the environment. They could cause a delay, or sometimes even you have the girl having menses even earlier. So in the event that it's now 16 years and she has not started her menarche, it's okay to have a checkup as we still wait for probably other factors could be the cause of the delays. Now, if you have had your menses, zinakuwa zikikuja you don't have your menses. Now, it's good you have yourself checked, maybe for pregnancy. If you've not had engaged yourself into any sex, then there could be other, maybe there could be drugs that are causing you to get these, it could be stress, you could be having those other factors. So it's good to have you checked. If you're bleeding more days than usual, some people bleed up to 7 days, but it's between 3, most of the time between 3 to 7 days. Other books will tell you 8, but let's talk about 3 to 7 days. If you're used to having your menses within that duration of time, and you realize that you're either getting it, more than usual days, is going to have you checked. If you're bleeding heavily than usual, and if you have severe pains that are during your periods, severe in that it's more than what we discussed, that you have cramps, but if they become severe, it's going to have checked. If you bleed in between periods, it's going to come to the hospital for your checkup. You use a tampon and you realize that you've gotten maybe a reaction, you have gotten, don't get stressed in the process. So basically what we can do about the cramps, you can use a hot water bottle, you can massage, with the oil, your abdomen, then unakaa mahali kuna jua, you can use a warm bath, exercises, very important. Exercise is very important. And then, a balanced diet, take a balanced diet, and good sleep and good rest. These are really things that we can talk about when it comes to managing those symptoms that we think are related to health. Now, there's some quite good news here. We call it Gon's Pharmacy. Those they actually say that they actually say that they have an appearance similar to that female organ. Umeona kitu kama hiyo hapo? Unaona, can you relate? Very important, menstrual health and hygiene. But this is something that I know that we have an idea about. I wanted really to take you through that because sometimes inawezaonekana ni kama it's more in the field of medicine, but about hygiene and menstrual health. See, this one we have some knowledge about it. So I think we get a bit active about this topic. So what comes into our mind when we talk about menstrual health and hygiene? Please, what comes into your mind? What comes into your mind?
When it comes to the menstrual cycle, it's not necessarily the lack of disease. It's the state whereby one is comfortable in terms of accessing the menstrual products, in terms of hygiene.
To woman in terms of the education that you need to. Sawa is really something that is so natural and really has to happen to you every other month, and then you're disadvantaged to an extent that you cannot be able to handle in ensuring that there's that empowerment, there's ensuring that there's that kind of support, because if we do not support this and if we do not empower these kind of girls and women be able to go through that process, you know, successfully and with minimal stress, then it's going to cause that woman to suffer other diseases, other complications, other stresses, you know, the stigma and those kind of. It's really not a good thing having that kind of a number, you know, globally, that really, you know, shows that there are many women who are disadvantaged just because they are women and they have to have this cycle every other month, yet they cannot be able to, you know, meet whatever that is required for them, the basic commodities. So in that light, we require to support these women. We require to support our girls in school. We require to support, you know, our girls in the rural areas and other places, at least to get the basic things. We need to have like water, we have good sanitation, you know, teach them on how to clean their hands, teach them on how to, you know, maintain good hygiene, you know. At least let there be affordable commodities that are needed for them, for the menses. Towels, the basics that we require. What do you think is going to happen? Yes. Yes. Yes.
And at the end of the day, it will lead to infections.
Right. And now, you see what happens when you have girls now. You know, the basics that are needed for the management of menstruation. In this, we talk about sanitary towels. It's very important because now again, sexually transmitted infections will lead to other diseases and also cause complications like even infertility in future. Us should have a contribution to it. Cindy, please give us. Let us also learn from each other so that we'll be able to tell now. Kama gani, what are these myths and the taboos that you have heard about, maybe you have experienced? Please let us share. How can I pick on someone? Please. Amina? Uh-huh. No swimming when you're?
Inanyesha hiyo time ya kuzaa. So like wewe umetika hivi.
Unalala kando. In other ones analala pale kwa meza. Kuna wengine they actually have no even access to that house, there's other tribes where literally you don't even sleep in that house. Literally uko yani ni kama pale yani kwa you know, inaitwa cow shed, something like that. I saw it somewhere in literature. So these are things that happen for married people. Oh, it's a myth. No, let me. Well, you don't need to laugh. You don't need to laugh. Is it, you know, how do we categorize that? It's a real thing. You should. About why should I be limited? Tuendelee. How far do you go with it? How? Having sex during menses.
So I think this can make some further elaborations.
What is the right?
Let me come to once. Let me deal with that once the end. Cindy, please, about your story. Yeah. Tutaipitia. So there are those basic human rights that a girl, a woman, a lady is entitled to matters menstruation. And we have discussed here and we have said that it is very important that these people have, they get that privilege of really getting access